In this video, I'm going to be testing 6 popular slug barriers to find out which ones actually work. In this time-lapse experiment, I'll place 4 slugs inside each barrier and track how long they stay trapped inside, using a clock right in the center. By the end, you'll know which barriers are the best at protecting your plants from getting devoured by slugs and snails. But first, let me introduce the 6 different types of barrier I'll be using. So the first one we've got is some copper mesh. It can be used to sort of create a fence around plants. It can be used to wrap around pots. I've also got some copper tape, which I'm going to use. Now, copper supposedly gives a bit of an electrical shock to slugs and snails, and that's why I don't like them. And it's actually the most popular slug barrier in, for example, the UK Amazon. So the second most popular slug barrier is wool pellets, at least on the UK Amazon. So supposedly the fibres irritate slugs and snails, and these should stop them from crossing. Here's a popular free DIY method to keep slugs at bay. I've got some coffee granules from my coffee machine, and supposedly the caffeine or something acidic about them means that slugs and snails don't like to cross it. Another household one, I've got some eggshells. So supposedly they're quite sharp. Slugs and snails don't like to crawl over them. I've not had any success with it in previous experiments, but keeping an open mind, and we'll have another look at it. So here we've got a slug collar. I used them when these beans were young, for example. The overhanging nature of them is supposed to stop slugs and snails from crawling over them. Obviously, I've had to make a DIY version to stop with an overhanging barrier to stop slugs from escaping for this experiment. And the final barrier I'm going to use is a slug stand, as I've got here. So the idea is you fill it up with water and it stops slugs from crossing to get to your plants. Obviously, again, not designed to keep them on, but it will still be interesting to see how slugs and snails cope with a 10 centimetre or so water barrier and whether they can escape. Whilst I'm setting up, I just want to let you know that on my website, stopslugs.com, you can grab my free PDF guide to stopping slugs. Just pop your email in on the homepage and you'll get a downloadable link. I've also got a shop where I sell slug prevention products I've designed myself, like the Slugstand and others. So far, the feedback's been really positive about my products, and I hope you'll consider supporting my enterprise. So 15 minutes in and we've already lost 2 entirely from the coffee, and shortly after, number 3 leaves. And at the 30-minute mark, all 4 are gone. And coffee is the first barrier to lose all 4 of its slugs. The copper products have done the second to worst at this point, and the slugs seem to pass freely over the copper tape, copper mesh, and copper pipe. Also at this point, none of the slugs are within the eggshell confines, and only one is left to nestle on some shell. So it's quickly between the wool, the slug stand, and the overhanging barrier after the first 40 minutes. This isn't a great surprise to me, and echoes what I've already discovered through other experiments I've done, which you can find on my channel. At 45 minutes, I cut to a different angle from the same experiment I shot to show the slugs trying to escape from the slug stand. For this experiment, I added a few tablespoons of salt to the water, and you can see just how the slug reacts. The orange slug at the bottom also tries to test the water, and he also gets a sting and quickly retreats. I've found using salt water superior to using water alone, as they don't even try and cross it like they do in some of this footage I've captured from a previous experiment. And if they do try to cross it, they'll actually end up dying. The only thing you've got to watch out for if you use salt water is that the water doesn't overflow to the surrounding areas. But if you place a large pot on top, it doesn't really happen. And to be honest, because the water evaporates as you go on, it would take a really heavy rainfall and overfilled slug stands for the salt water to escape. I'm just going to speed the video up a bit more now, and it will become clear what sort of barriers are the best. After 2 hours and 40 minutes, the final slug leaves the woolen barrier, leaving copper with 1 slug sleeping in the middle, and the overhanging barrier and the slug stands not letting any of the slugs escape for the whole of the 4 hours. I think a slug stand and an overhanging barrier are head and shoulders above the other types of barriers, and I'm in the process of designing some slug collars of my own with an improved design and also some high quality metal slug fences. So if you may be interested in purchasing them in the future, you can enter your email on my website, and I'll be sure to notify you when I'm in a position to start selling them. Cheers.